we have another matchup as MIAA conference play continues to happen this week. Opening week of conference play, we got Albion versus Trine. Both of these programs are heading into this game 2-1 at this point. They actually do have a familiar opponent, though. They both have played Rose Holman. Trine had a little bit more of a dominating victory over Rose, but obviously that doesn't necessarily matter because we have this true matchup right here between the two teams that last year they played in. Albion pretty much dominated, had a 42-10 win last year. Trine obviously had a down year last year, but they're looking to respond after that, and they've done a pretty good job so far. They did end up having kind of a one game that was basically a blowout loss, but outside of that, they've kind of responded a little bit better than what they had last year. But obviously, when you have conference play, it truly matters about how you play week one. And you have both of these teams coming into week one playing pretty well. I do expect this game to be a little bit more of a high-scoring game than maybe other games around the MIAA, just because both of these teams have allowed a little bit more points to be scored than maybe other games that I have covered, but that's completely okay because you have these teams that should be able to put up points, and I think that's going to necessarily make it more fun because of these offense, because of just how both of these teams have played so far. And you have Trine that I want to talk a little bit more about before I kind of get into Albion. This Trine team is definitely more passing when it comes to the overall offense. They have 108 attempts on the year. They're 70 for 108. So pretty decent pass percentage when it comes to their starting quarterback in RJ West. He's had about a 70% completion percentage on this year. Now all of those passes were with him. He's 56 for 79, has 5 touchdowns, 1 interception on the year. He's been pretty good at protecting the ball. Now he can run a little bit. Now his overall net yardage is 34, so he's not going to be a guy that's mostly known for running, but he has done a little bit throughout this season, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on for. But they're definitely going to be a little bit more pass heavy when it comes to success through the air rather than on the ground. Now they haven't been bad on the ground per se. They have been averaging 120 yards on the ground, but overall for this Trine team, their strength really truly relies through the air and trying to get the ball to some of their playmakers out wide. When you have Jermaine Williams, Rashawn Street, Owen Hebert, Tristan Burris, they can have weapons on this team to get the ball to, but it's truly going to be through the arm of RJ West that they're going to continue to really rely on. And then let's talk a little bit more about this defense, because this defense is led by leading tackler Cole Bassey, 20 tackles on the year, doesn't have any sacks, but does have 1 tackle for a loss. You can also really talk about Cam McIver. He does have 1 sack on the year, 16 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss. And really the last guy I really want to talk about is Trey Richards, 12 tackles on the year, played in 3 games. He's a guy to continue to kind of keep an eye on for this defense. And then Jahari Branch is another guy to kind of keep an eye on for this defense. But if you just look at overall, this Trine team is definitely better than they were last year. We'll see exactly how this happens in the game if it is a close game. And this is a team that has forced some fumbles this year as well, so that's something to kind of keep an eye on in this game as well. But let's get over to Albion a little bit more, because this offense does score a little bit more than what Trine does. They've averaged 30 points per game this year. Definitely a little bit better offensively as well when it comes to running the ball. Passing is about pretty similar to what Trine has been doing. If you truly look at kind of the differences between Trine and Albion, at least for what they have done so far this year, I think you really have to look at this game and just see that Albion statistically and just kind of what they have done so far has been a little bit better performance-wise than what Trine has done. Now, obviously, like I was saying earlier, you have Rose Holman having a little bit more of a dominant victory over them than what Albion had. But it could have just been a bad week for Albion. I truly think that's maybe what it was. I think this offense for Albion will be able to put up points, and they're obviously led by the starting quarterback in Ali Murray. He has 115 attempts on the year, 7 touchdowns, does have 4 interceptions, so that's definitely going to be something to kind of keep an eye on for. He definitely has a little bit more of an issue protecting the ball. Now, if you look at just the overall attempts, he does have a little bit more attempts than what RJ West has. Like I said, 115 attempts on the year, 53% completion rate. So obviously not the most accurate quarterback, or maybe not necessarily a quarterback that has had some of the best games. But like, it shows a little bit that this Albion offense isn't afraid to sling the ball a little bit, and he does have some guys in Cameron Moore. He has 201 yards on the year, 3 touchdowns. He's going to be a guy offensively. Dylan Denson, another guy, 137 yards, 1 touchdown. It truly is, though, Cameron Moore has been kind of his main guy, because he's really the only guy that has over 200 yards. Everyone else is between 130 and like 80 yards for the most part. So obviously they have gotten the ball to multiple receivers, multiple tight ends, multiple running backs. But it's going to be Cameron Moore offensively when it comes to the passing game that is going to get a lot of the targets, a lot of the yards. And then they have a guy in Alex Truttle. He's the leading rusher on the team, 390 yards, 3 touchdowns. Does have a long of 40 yards, averages 124 yards a game. And if you realize what I mentioned about Trine with the amount of yards that they average on the ground per game, Trine averages 120 yards on the ground every single game. Alex averages more yards per game than what Trine averages completely. Like, that just shows you that maybe when it comes to running the ball, this Albion offense is better. Now, I do think that has to do with the line. Obviously, the line plays a lot into it, but then you also just have the overall offense. And while I do think Albion have more mistakes throughout the game, I also think they're a little bit more explosive when it comes to both of these offenses. And then let's talk a little bit about the defenses as well. I do want to mention Alec Olnick. He's been pretty good this year. He's been a guy that has really impacted Albion's defense for a long time. I know he's coming off of a torn ACL. He's a guy that's been an all-conference player, 3.5 sacks on the year, 23 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss. He's a guy that can very much be a difference maker on this team. He only has 23 tackles on the season, which is third, but a lot of those are impact plays. He's going to be a guy to continue to keep an eye on for. And then you also have another guy, and Ryan DeBris, 30 tackles on the year, 1 sack, 4 tackles for a loss. And then you have Adam Mills, 1.5 sacks, 30 tackles on the year. So it's really going to be those 3 guys that are going to truly be the main difference makers on this team. Now, all of those guys does have at least 1 sack. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on for, is are Trine going to be able to protect RJ West? You can see the success that Albion has had getting to the quarterback. Is Trine going to be able to protect him from a guy like Alex Olnick? Like, he's just been all over the field. Like, he's been getting in the backfield several times. That type of matchup is going to be one I'm going to continue to keep an eye on for in this game. But I think this is going to be a game that Albion does win. I think it's going to be a game that's a little bit, like I said earlier, a little bit more high scoring. I think this Albion defense, especially this defensive line, will be able to get in the backfield quite a bit against this Trine team. You've just seen it against every opponent that they have played. It's truly going to be about, can Albion take care of the ball? And if Albion can take care of the ball, they can get that passing game going, they can get the run game going, and they can force Trine to be maybe a 1 style offense, which is through the air, which that's where they kind of have been this year. I think this Albion team ends up getting the win. Do I think it's as big of a blowout as last year? No, I don't think it's as big of a blowout as last year, but I'm picking Albion to win this game. But good luck to both of these teams. Definitely excited for MIAA conference play to begin. And yeah, I'll definitely recap this game, talk about what happened. But if you enjoyed this content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment. I'll definitely do a recap for this game, and really appreciate everyone tuning in.